Succeed in PE. We really appreciate everybody taking the time to join us and have a wonderful lineup of speakers today. The webinar is going to run for about an hour. My name is Alex Mays, and I'm the Senior Policy Analyst at Healthy Schools Campaign, which is the organization that is hosting today's webinar. I'm just going to run through a few logistics briefly for our webinar, and then we will get into our speakers. So as I said, the webinar is going to run for about an hour, and we will be recording this webinar and make the recording and slides available online. So we will share that link around later this week so that you can share it with your colleagues and look at any information you wanted to write down from the slides. We also have a very quick survey at the end of the webinar just to let us know how it went from your perspective. So we would greatly appreciate it if you could take the time to do that. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the webinar. There's a questions box on the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. And so as you think of those questions, just type them in, send them to us. We'll be compiling all those questions and make sure that we get to them at the end of the webinar and ask them of our wonderful speakers. So our speakers today, we have Christy Cox from Healthy Schools Campaign, Charity Carter from Chicago Public Schools, and Jonathan Popowich from Skinner North Elementary. So thank you so much to our speakers, and without further ado, I will hand it over to my colleague, Christy Cox, who is our Training and Program Manager at Healthy Schools Campaign.
Thanks, Alex. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Christy Cox, and I've been here at Healthy Schools Campaign for about 4 years, and I run our professional development program called Fit to Learn, which most of you have either participated in some capacity or are currently part of this year's cohort. So that's my role. But I want to take just a few minutes to chat a little bit about who Healthy Schools Campaign is, so you have some idea of what our work is all about and how this ties into the webinar that we're sharing with you today. So for the last 10 years, in addition to our work at the state and national level, Healthy Schools Campaign has focused significant efforts in Chicago, where we've worked to improve food and fitness, the food and fitness environment in public schools. Our programs focus on identifying and supporting agents of change, so specifically looking at parents, teachers, students, principals, and school nurses. And we help them make changes at their schools and in their districts through support work. So whether it's through encouraging them to be part of the local school council for the parents, encouraging teachers to incorporate health and wellness messaging in their classroom. We really want to focus on empowering those individuals to be change agents. So the need for principals and teachers and other school staff to have the knowledge and skills to create conditions for health in the classrooms and schools. So we've worked pretty closely with Chicago Public Schools over the last several years, and a lot of that work has been specifically around the food that's being served in the schools, as well as the amount of physical activity that kids get every day at school. So we've worked hard to make those changes specifically around recess and PE. Fit to Learn is our professional development program, and the whole idea behind this program is to really empower teachers and give them the ability to incorporate health and wellness messaging in the classroom. But not just classroom teachers, we really look to PE teachers as well. We understand the importance of their role in schools, and that's why we're having our webinar today. We recognize that CPS has made some big changes. They've come out with an amazing PE policy this past January, and we know that PE teachers need support, and so that's why we're having our webinar today. PE teachers are so important. The work that they do is essential for our students to keep them up and moving. And if you're a classroom teacher, you've probably experienced students who have been unable to sit still for long periods of time in your class. I know that it's hard for me as an adult to sit at my desk all day. So we really recognize the importance of physical activity and how that helps students learn much better. But because there's such a strong emphasis on test scores, we also know that they have to be in the classroom a lot longer. Research has shown that healthy students are better learners, and keeping kids physically moving not only helps them stay physically fit, but also helps them focus much better. And I believe Charity is going to speak about that in a few minutes. And luckily, we've got Charity and John here to speak with us about how PE has changed, where it's going, and how it's going to really impact our students' future. So with that, again, my name is Christy Cox. If you have questions about the Fit to Learn program or any questions in regards to health and wellness in the classroom, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. There's my email and and the phone number to the office. Real quick plug, we have our next booster session will be a live session. It'll be a workshop on November 13th. It's on physical activity in the classroom, and we'll have guest speakers from Urban Initiatives, Girls in the Game, and Chicago Run, helping us with ideas on how we can incorporate physical activity in the classroom. Additionally, for those of you who are participating today, you'll receive 1 CPDU credit for your hour that you spend with us. So please email me and let me know if you want that, and I can send that out, no problem. And then, of course, we'll offer CPDUs for the November 13th session as well. So let's continue on and welcome Charity to speak.
Great. Thank you so much, Christy. So now we will hand it over to Charity Carter, who is Physical Education Coordinator with Chicago Public Schools. And Charity is going to be providing us with an overview of the new PE policy that Christy mentioned and some of the research that links the impact of PE to brain function. So we will now hand it over to Charity. Go ahead and take it away, Charity.
Thanks so much. Before we talk about the benefits, before we talk about the PE policy, I'm going to give you just a little bit of information on the benefits of physical education. Next slide, please. So there's a saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and so this picture actually explains the importance of physical activity a lot more than my talking could. You see two pictures there on the screen. The one on the left is a picture of the composite of about 20 different students after sitting quietly. On the right, it's actually the same group of students after walking for 20 minutes. These students, they took the same exact test after sitting quietly, and then they took that test again after walking for 20 minutes, and they actually scored a full grade higher in reading simply after walking for 20 minutes. And again, I think that really speaks highly to the benefits of physical activity. Next slide. When talking about a quality physical education programs, there are several components. First of all, such a program equips students with the knowledge and skills that they need for their entire lives. So we're trying to kind of what Christy even mentioned a little bit. We're trying to set them up for success for their entire lives, not just through school, but for their entire lives. Also, quality physical education focuses on health and wellness, not just moving, not just sports. It's so we can have that well-rounded student. It emphasizes student engagement, so the whole goal, again, is to get students moving, to get them active. It maximizes their moderate to vigorous physical activity, get them to work in their target heart rate zones. It's taught by quality physical education teachers, and also it enhances students' learning. Next slide. Quality PE does not look like recess. It's not just a time where students have a chance to do whatever it is they want to do. Also, it doesn't just focus on sports. And the last thing that does not exemplify quality physical education is that it doesn't undermine academic performance. Next slide. Related to health, because as you know, I just mentioned that with quality physical education, it's the emphasis on health and wellness. So there are these areas that are really, really positively influenced by physical education, everything from body composition to reducing the risk of cardiovascular disease to supporting a healthy weight, mental health, reducing stress. So again, major benefits here with physical education. Next slide. Now we're going to move into the PE policy. And on this next slide, it lets you know what has been going on. So in October 2011, that's when things started moving, if you will. The first PE leadership team was convened. In July of 2012, the Office of Student Health and Wellness assumed responsibility for PE. In September of 2012, the first PE teacher survey was conducted, and this is significant because prior to that time, no one knew what other PE teachers were doing in the district. In January of 2013, our PE specialist was hired, and prior to that, it had been about 5 years before there was any district-level representation for physical education. But from February of 2013 to January of 2014, that's when we as a district did a lot of work towards this PE policy. There was a group of stakeholders that were convened, and we got together to figure out what our vision was for PE. A scope and sequence was developed. There was targeted professional development by CPS PE teachers for CPS PE teachers. And what emerged out of everything that happened was we realized that PE really was a quality. We wanted that to be a priority for us. And so that led to the strategic plan, which some of you may have participated in. It was called Minds in Motion. And from that, it led to the PE policy that was passed on January 22nd of this year. Next slide. If we were to do a side-by-side comparison of the Illinois School Code versus CPS PE prior to the PE policy, this is what it would look like. On the left, we have Illinois School Code, which requires daily PE for all students. Health education can count. There's a district waiver allowed at the state level, and also individual waivers for juniors and seniors, select juniors and seniors, I should say. From CPS standpoint, most elementary students did not have daily physical education. A lot of students had anywhere from 45 to maybe 60 minutes of PE prior to the PE policy. Also prior to the PE policy, freshmen took 1 semester of PE and 1 semester of health. Sophomores took 1 semester of PE and 1 semester of driver's ed. And all juniors and seniors, again, prior to the PE policy, all juniors and seniors were waived out of PE, and that was actually 17 years of juniors and seniors not having physical education. Next slide. The guiding principles we have on our PE policy are fivefold. First of all, PE is a requirement. Secondly, it is now an academic subject. It is considered a core subject area, and as we mentioned earlier, it enhances learning. It also reinforces other core content, and it promotes lifelong fitness and health for those students. Next slide. If we were to look at the PE policy at a glance, we could simply say that it allows our school district to meet the state code that requires that daily PE for students in grades K through 12. Also, it transitions the district, and so that juniors and seniors now are required to take PE, and it also provides that foundation for the development of those physically literate individuals who, again, have the skills that they need to not only for academic success, but also lifelong health. Next slide. Quickly, the overview. Again, the PE policy sets the standards for high-quality instruction. It's provided to all students in CPS. For elementary students, it has to be 30 minutes a day or 150 minutes a week. For high school students, it has to be scheduled at in the same increments as other core courses. Health education can count. PE also has to be inclusive of all learners, and PE teachers must have a dedicated space, equipment, instructional tools, and whatever they need to conduct their classes. Next slide. Regarding implementing the policy, on the next slide we see that for high school, it's in short, all high school students have to be programmed for PE as of this school year. And as previously mentioned, it has to be scheduled at in the same time increments as other classes. And the next slide talks about our elementary PE policy implementation. There are 3 phases for elementary schools. This school year, elementary students have to have at least 90 minutes of physical education each week. 60 of those minutes must be delivered by a certified PE teacher, and 30 minutes can be supplemented by a certified teacher through either health education or dance education, as long as that dance aligns with PE learning standards. In next school year, so school year 15-16, students must have a 120 minutes of PE. 60 minutes must be delivered by a PE teacher, and the other 60 minutes can be delivered in the form of health or dance. And in school year 16-17, it's 150 minutes, and that's considered full policy implementation, with 90 minutes being delivered by the PE teacher and 60 minutes of either health or dance. And the reason why there are 3 phases at the elementary level is because we realize that for schools jumping from 60 minutes to 150 minutes in 1 year, that was quite a feat for a lot of schools. So it made more sense to allow schools, if they wanted the option of growing as the policy grows, so to speak, they could have that option. Some schools did elect to use the implementation program, but there are others, like John's school, who decided to go ahead and go all in and get all of those 150 minutes in this year. So that's actually all that I have for you. As Christy said, if you have questions, make sure you type those in, and thanks so much. And
great. Thank you so much, Charity, for providing that great overview of the policy. And I know we at Healthy Schools Campaign are really excited to have such a great policy in place, and look forward to trying to work with CPS to support schools in implementing it. So we are next going to hear from John Popowich, who is physical education instructor at Skinner North Elementary, and he is going to speak about what PE looks like at Skinner. So thank you so much, John. We really appreciate you joining us, and I will now hand it over to you.
All right. Hi, everyone. Like they said, my name is John Popowich, and I am at one of the 2 PE teachers at Skinner North. Just a little bit about our school before we get into what it looks like. We are one of the classical schools in CPS, so all of our students test in. They come from all over the city. And currently we are K through 7. We opened up, I think this is our 6th year, and I was the founding PE teacher, so I've been able to see it go from 4 classrooms of K through 2nd grade. Now we are all the way up to 7th grade, so it's been a really great experience to be able to see how everything has changed. Next slide. So just a little bit of an overview of what PE is like at Skinner North. Prior to this year, I was the only PE teacher, and I would see our students, for the most part, about 60 minutes a week. We had a Friday schedule that floated by the quarter, so on the first quarter of the year, we saw our Monday students on Friday. So second quarter, our Tuesday students we saw on Friday. So it rounded out to being about that hour, maybe a little bit more throughout the year. Most of our classes, 2nd through 6th grade, were just a full 60, 65 minutes. My kinder and first grade classes were a half hour, where I would see one group and then switch to the other. This year, like they said, we are going to full daily PE for all of our students. We're a 30-20-10 school, so we are having 30 minutes of daily PE, 20 minutes of recess, and our classroom teachers are implementing 10 minutes of physical activity in the classroom. And I'll talk a little bit more later about some things that they're doing that you can share with people at your school too. So like I said, we have 2 PE teachers. I teach kinder, 2nd, 4th, and 6th, and we hired a new teacher this year. She's teaching 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. We are pretty lucky that at this time we have a few spaces that we can use. We have our gym. We also were able to make an empty classroom a fitness room. We were able to use some money that was set aside by our principal and some funds from different grants that we received. And we have a pretty active parent group, Friends of Skinner North, who have given us some money to buy some equipment. We're basically using that room right now for many different reasons, a lot of different games and activities, and we've just started doing fitness stations with the students as well. We also are very lucky to have multiple outdoor areas. Our school is actually connected to a park district building, so we have a couple outdoor basketball courts. We have a big field with 2 baseball fields and just a green area. So we know that that's not the norm of many people or many schools in CPS, but for us, we're very fortunate to have that. Thinking about how we plan our units, Ms. Dufford, the other teacher, and I, we worked together all summer to really go through everything and plan out what our year would look like. It was the first time I have ever had to work with another teacher, so that was a little bit of an adjustment, but it's been great. And it's also been a big adjustment going from seeing the kids once a week to 30 minutes a week, but that's also worked out great, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. We do plan all of our units off the CPS PE framework that was put together over the summer that's on the Knowledge Center, and we use the Shape America National Standards and grade level outcomes, and we do use understanding by design and backward design when we're planning our units to make sure that we're getting all those essential questions and really digging deep to look at what outcomes we're going to hit, and then we design our units and our assessments and our instruction from there. Next slide, please. Again, the 2 teachers, we've worked together. We actually share an office, so we're constantly communicating how things are going. We always try to plan our units when they're sports-based for about a 2-week session. So we're doing about 2 units a month, and we're flip-flopping. So if I'm doing Frisbee, the other teachers focusing on soccer, and then we'll switch the second 2 weeks of the month. That way we can share the equipment. We can schedule the use of different spaces, and it's also great to be able to talk, see what went well with each class, some things that we might want to focus on or things that we can learn from each other. Next slide. So that's basically what we have focused on in making this daily PE come to life here at Skinner North. One of the other things that we talked about, so the some limited space activities that we're doing in the fitness room, and these are also some of the things that our teachers are using for their time in the classroom. We purchased a Spark, which is a curriculum. It's called Spark ABCs, and it's for classroom-based physical activity. It's not too expensive, and it goes through and it ties a lot of the different activities that you could do to a lot of the Common Core standards. Go Noodle is another great limited space activity. This one we project up on the smartboard. Classes have a little monster that grows by the amount of brain breaks that they take, and our classroom teachers have really pulled this into their classrooms as well. All the kids love, after 10 brain breaks, their monster grows and seeing what happens, and they really get into all the activities that are there. Other things are Adventure to Fitness, which is another web-based program. There's some easy fitness decks that have different exercises on them that I use in my classes for stations or just different activities, and the classroom teachers do as well. The fitness station equipment, like I said, we were able to buy different exercise balls and bands and weights and different things to use for stations, which we can use in our fitness room, but can also be used throughout the school. A great activity that we do for limited space is many different types of bingo. There's fitness bingo, there's nutrition bingo, just different things that can get the kids thinking about all the different aspects of living a healthy and well lifestyle. And then again, there's so many resources on from the CPS PE framework and many different things on the Knowledge Center. It's just a really great place to go and get a lot of information and ideas and things that will help you plan your units and your lessons and basically your whole year, because a lot of it's laid out for you. Next slide. So then the last thing I just wanted to talk quickly about is some of the success stories that we've heard throughout this year. And even though it's pretty new, it's been great just making this transition over to the daily PE model. So when I first started working, with the 30 minutes a day, it was a little difficult to try to plan and have all these different activities and how are we going to have them grow. But it's actually been able to have me dig way deeper into the different units themselves. I've been able to work on some sport ed model things with my upper grade students where they're really learning the background of the sport of ultimate frisbee right now. They take on the roles of being different referees and scorekeepers and statistic analyzers and things like that. So it's really a great way to get them really in depth in the activities that they're doing. And I would not have really been able to do that with seeing them once a week. It wouldn't have worked for the way that I taught. So this is a great way of seeing them daily to have this go on and be able to meet with them every day. We have great teacher buy-in, especially for the 10 minutes that they're providing in the classroom. We're starting to do different weekly classroom challenges where they're competing against each other, either using different pedometers that we're handing out. They're going to use them for a couple days and give them to the next class who's going to try to beat them. There's also just a jumping jack challenge, who can do the most jumping jacks throughout the 10 minutes that they have throughout the day, for a full week. We also do a couple bulletin boards, and one we're putting up right now is it's entitled, "This is how the teachers like to move it," like the song that all the kids love singing and dancing to. And it's just pictures of the different teachers and how they like to get exercise, both now and when they were kids too, so it's fun to see that. The teachers have also gone on their own and have incorporated just a ton of different brain breaks and energizers that they've created and put on our Google Drive to share with the other teachers. So it's a great way for them to get involved. Finally, the students are just excited to come every day. They love to get up and come. They love seeing, what we're going to do and how we can plan our units to, to maximize the amount of time that we have with them, since it is so much and it's such a great experience. The parents are also extremely excited. We have a very active parent group, and I see so many parents, daily, and they're just always telling me how much their students love, or their sons and daughters love coming home and talking about what they did today and how it's so nice to have this daily PE instead of, seeing it, coming in once a weekend. If you're sick or going on a field trip or something like that and you're missing it, then you miss the whole week. So that's great. And then finally, as being part of the 30-20-10, myself and another teacher, another classroom teacher, went to this PAL training, which is physical activity leader, and there it was basically revolved around in that 10 minutes of classroom physical activity. So it was a great connection that we can make with all the other 30-20-10 schools. I think there's about 30 of them in the district right now. So just a great way to meet them, and we can network through them and share ideas. And it was a great resource. So that's all I have about PE at Skinner. If you have questions, definitely let us know.
Great. Thank you so much, John. That was wonderful, and it's so exciting to hear about how you're implementing daily PE at Skinner. So we will now move into our question and answer session. If you have questions, chat them into that box on your control panel, and we will make sure we ask our presenters those questions. We do have a number that have come in, so we will go ahead and get started. The first question is for John. So John, you spoke a lot about the kind of success and positive things you've seen come out of your PE program. Can you speak a little bit about the question? This participant wants to know what the biggest challenges were in implementing daily PE and how you address those challenges.
Yeah, definitely. The biggest challenge, I think, was trying to figure out a schedule that was going to make it work. So at our school, our specialist classes right now are PE, music, Spanish, and art. So we had to take some time out of those classes and the schedule that we currently had to sort of make it work around us. They still see all the students 60 minutes a week, so they're getting their time in there as well. But we took a little bit of time from that. So just really trying to maneuver our schedule to make it all work probably was the biggest challenge. And then with the the activity in the classroom, that was a big, I wouldn't say challenge, but a big shift as well for our classroom teachers. Most of them, especially in the younger grades, are already doing tons of brain breaks, and they know the current research as well about getting up and moving and everything. But trying to motivate the teachers in our upper grade classes, that was a little bit of time that it took for them to really catch on and do it. But it was really a lot of talking with everyone about what are you doing here, what are you doing there, giving people as many resources as you can, even as much as like the different challenges that the classrooms are doing right now, just saying like who can do 1,000 jumping jacks in a week, and putting that up somewhere for people to display. So that was something that really helped them get excited.
Great, thank you so much. And the next question is for Charity. Charity, what type of support can schools receive from CPS for if they're trying to meet the new PE goals?
Right. Well, it's not really something that students or that schools have much of an option in terms of meeting it. Their options are with regard to how many minutes of instruction they can offer their students. So the support actually started back in February, which every single principal received an individual email from me that explained the PE policy and they let them know where they can find policy information, and let them know that I was available to visit their school to talk through the PE policy and to talk about whatever challenges they had. So there were face-to-face sit-down planning meetings with principals. There are quite a few webinars on the PE page of the Knowledge Center and the policy resources tab that include anything from overcoming space challenges to teaching PE in non-traditional spaces. There are all sorts of resources. Resources with regard to where to have an alternate teaching spaces in their schools. So there were some schools that the principal and I literally walked the halls to find out if there were any locations that they could have PE. Maybe there's a large entryway that's conducive to PE that they would not have thought of. So in short, whatever type of support a principal needed, all they need to do is just ask, and if we can't provide that direct support, then we'll find someone who can provide them with the support that they need.
Great, thank you, Charity. The next question is, I think, probably either for Charity or John. You both spoke about high-quality PE, and I think, Charity, you referred to it as high-quality instruction. Could you kind of explain a little bit more about what high-quality PE looks like?
Absolutely. A high-quality PE is standards-based PE. So as John mentioned, he and his colleague use the national PE standards to drive their instruction. And so just as in a language arts teacher, an English teacher would use the Common Core state standards the English Language Arts Common Core state standards to drive their instruction, to have a quality English class. A quality PE teacher will also use the national standards-based instruction to those national standards, to drive their instruction. So it's attached to standards. There are assessments that demonstrate that students have grown not only in the skills that teachers are teaching, but also cognitively. So as even John mentioned, how his students they're receiving background information, the rules and the history of different sports. I believe he specifically said flag football. So rather than teaching students how to play flag football and that's it, a quality PE program would be one where students not only learn how to play flag football, but they learn the rules, they learn the mechanics, and it gets to the point where those students can actually run their own flag football game without any support from the teacher. So they can serve as the referees, they can serve as the coaches, they can serve as the participants. And then if someone else were to come in and say, okay, what are some defensive strategies that you could use in this particular game situation, then a student who's participating in a quality PE program would actually be able to answer those types of questions.
Great, thank you. That was a really wonderful response. John, do you have anything to add to that? As I think you did touch on that during your presentation.
Yeah, no, Charity said basically, what I think of quality PE is the same thing. So it's really, teaching all the different aspects of things, and not just the sports and things like that. It's a lot of we do a lot of wellness lessons. We like I was saying, I was doing a resistance band training with fourth graders today, and just learning about the muscles and learning, why your muscles are going to be sore after this, and why they're growing and why they're getting stronger. So it's really going deep into things, and it really is that standards-based instruction. And if teachers really want to see sort of how we broke that down, like I said earlier, on the Knowledge Center, there's the CPS-PE framework. And what we did was we took just tons and tons of different sports, and not even sports, but limited space activities and non-traditional games, and just tons of different units that teachers could teach. And we basically went from all of the national outcomes, grade by grade, K through 8, and then there's also high school ones as well. And it breaks down what standards and what outcomes you should be looking for each grade in that sport skill. And then from there it goes into what assessments you could use, and then from there you're seeing, okay, well, I want to hit these outcomes, I want to use these assessments, I'm going to now plan these questions that I'm going to use throughout the unit. I'm going to look at what activities and games and my instruction is going to look like. So it's really just like like Charity said, using those standards and those outcomes as the starting point, and then designing your instruction backwards from there.
Great, thank you. And another question for John. So it sounds like you've gotten parents at Skinner very excited about the program. How have you communicated with parents about those changes? And Charity, CPS has done district-wide communication to parents. Please feel free to chime in as well.
Mm-hmm. So the biggest thing that we do as a school, and I did it for my program even before this, was just being really visible throughout the school day. Getting to know parents, getting to, having them know who you are, not just the random person walking down the hall that they might know is wearing shorts, so there might be the gym teacher, the PE teacher. So you really have to have that bond with the parents in any way possible, just getting your face out there. From there, then we went and we actually had a principal forum. Our principal every now and then just has meetings where sort of like a state of the school address, things that are happening, different things like that, and that's how this was brought up. And we have a parent group, and a school, like the student base itself has always been a very active group. So just the more that I was able to get out there and talk with them and tell them, oh, this is what we're doing next year, we're so excited. It was really, they were also just so excited about it as well, and learning that the more that I told them and talked with them about how all the latest research about how it's going to help the students in the classroom and different things like that. And with our social emotional learning as being a really big piece here at Skinner North too, that's really something that we focus on. So we tied it in with the academics and social emotional learning and really tied it into how we're going to teach the whole student.
That's great. Thank you so much. And Charity, does CPS do any communications with parents about this?
We had several community meetings, and let's see, I think there were about 3 in February and 2 or 3 in March in different places in the city where parents, anyone from the community was free to come and learn about the PE policy. So pretty much the same information that I shared was shared with parents and community members, and they had the opportunity to ask whatever questions they wanted. Also, if parents continue to have questions, because I know some have called me personally, or they call even our PE help desk for clarification about the PE policy. There were some who, if they knew that the PE policy was passed, and so they thought that their student was definitely going to get 30 minutes of PE every day, and so then they called and were like, I understand, why does my child not have 30 minutes of PE? So then I had the opportunity to share with them the 3-year implementation phases, so that they were able to understand that their student will eventually have more PE this year. It might look kind of the same because they have that, if they have the 60 minutes of PE and then 30 minutes of health. So we did have those community meetings, and parents and the community members can access any of us here at any time to provide additional support to them.
Great, thank you. We appreciate that. So I think we are going to go ahead and wrap up a little early here. And so thank you so much to both of our wonderful presenters, Charity and John. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us, and thank you to everybody who attended today's webinar. We will once again be sharing a link of the recording and slides, so please feel free to share that around. And enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.